Good morning. Again, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Happy Money Monday. Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here right now. We got the market gapping up a little bit today off some pretty nice levels from Friday. We're going to definitely talk about it, show you guys what I see. And as far as why the market's moving on up, in my opinion, from a technical standpoint, looks pretty good. So yeah, we're going to break it down. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk stock. We're going to talk stock. We're not going to talk shop, right? We're going to talk stock. That's what it is. Talk stock. Stock talk. But hit me with a big old good morning. If you're over on YouTube, what's up, everybody? Again, welcome back. Happy Monday. Go ahead and drop your location, guys, on YouTube. Hey, TikTok as well. Where are you guys tuning in from? Then we'll give it a couple of minutes. After the good mornings, let a few more beautiful men and women join, and then we'll officially dive into it and start with some ticker requests. What are you guys looking at? What do you want me to look at today as well? Go right to the charts, pick it apart, see if we have anything, and make sure you guys are all set for the day. Ed Nevis, look at that, man. The man, the myth, the legend. What's up, brother? It's been a while, man. Hopefully everything's been good with you and the family. Every day is a great day. Every day is a blessed day, man. I'm excited to be back. Tom, good morning. Limon. I can never pronounce the name. So I'm just going to call you Turner. Turner, how you doing? All right. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. We need the good mornings. Drop. Oh, it's Lee. Yeah, okay, Lee. Lee, what's up? So when I see the name I can't pronounce, I'm dyslexic. I get all the words mixed up. Turner, it's Lee. What's up, brother? Good morning. Darren over on TikTok. What's up? Good morning. Yeah, we're going to start right with looking at some of your guys' stocks for the day. And then here towards the end, we'll definitely finish with the SPY and the Qs. I'm always doing good, man. Even when I don't feel great, I'm blessed. When I wake up, as Tom would say, and 2 feet hit the floor, it's a blessing to be alive. It's a blessing to be here. I love being here, helping you guys become better traders. I can't complain, man. Even on my worst days, I can't complain. It's always a blessing to be alive. All right, so yeah, here we're going to do this. We're going to look at the economic calendar. Boop, we're done. There's nothing on the economic calendar for the day that we have to be super mindful of. You got like consumer inflation expectations data, low impact, and a couple other low impact pieces of data. But tomorrow at 10 a.m., got to be mindful of this. You got Jay Powell's testimony at 10 o'clock. So that's high impact event. It's definitely something that could, shake the markets, move the markets a little bit. So we'll have to see what he says and what that testimony is tomorrow at 10. And then a couple other Fed members speaking tomorrow as well. But that's the biggest thing is going to be 10 a.m. You got Jay Powell on the testimony. Then you got CPI data on Wednesday, followed by PPI data, jobless claims on Thursday. And then we come into Friday with not a lot on the economic calendar. I mean, you got retail sales month-over-month data, but that's about it. So it's a big week. You got testimony tomorrow with Jay Powell. Wednesday, CPI. Thursday, PPI data. And so what do we know about these kind of weeks? What do we know? Usually it's kind of slow and choppy leading up to that, right? Usually it's slower and choppier. Do I think we could see some movement really start to kick things off tomorrow at 10 or after 10? Absolutely. And then again, we do have some high impact data. That's CPI, PPI. Definitely see the market react to that. So things may start picking up tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Today may be a slower day. So just come in and really assess market conditions to the best of your ability, guys. How do you think the market's going to be today? Do we have any key data? Is there any kind of catalyst moving the market? Did Trump tweet again? Right, like he did on Friday. He sends a tweet at 10:59. The market dropped 2-3 points in the blink of an eye. So is Trump going to be tweeting today? You never know. But as far as what we do know with the info we have in front of us, guys, today could be a slower day. So just make sure you're aware of that. And just be cautious. Wait for the best setups. And maybe you don't expect follow through. Maybe you reduce size, reduce risk. Just be smart. Frank, what's up, brother? Good morning. All right, so with all that being said, we're good to dive into some stocks, guys. So what are you guys looking at? We'll go from there. NVIDIA. All right, let's go start with NVIDIA. All right, cool. So here's what we have. Where are we at this morning? We still in the gap? Yeah, we're still in the gap. All right, cool. So here's the game plan. Same kind of game plan that we had on Friday. Here on NVIDIA. I used to say NVIDIA. That's how I used to say it. NVIDIA. And everybody's like, there's no in it. It's NVIDIA. I'm like, I want to say NVIDIA. NVIDIA. So here's what you got on NVIDIA. All right, you're inside this daily gap. Okay, bottom end of the gap is at 124.90. Top end of this gap is at 142.50. All right, so you're in the gap, and what did you see Friday? You held the lower end of the gap, right? You held the lower end of the gap. That's a freaking misprint. Look at that. That is a big old misprint. Look at that. That daily chart's pretty deceiving, isn't it? If you look at Friday's candle, it shows Friday's low a day held the bottom end of the gap, but we never came down to the bottom end of the gap on Friday. Always double check your daily, right? Always double check your daily against like a lower time frame because like, yeah, this was Friday's low a day. You can see that on a 5-minute and it shows that low a day was way down there on the daily. So that's a little deceiving, isn't it? But again, with all that being said, we did stay inside of the gap on Thursday, right? So we came up to it Wednesday, got inside of the gap, stayed inside of it, and now we're just slowly grinding on up. There is a nice level that we're starting to get above, right? We got above it here on Friday. Now, are we holding above it this morning? We are. Look at that. See how we came back down to this nice little zone, and we bounced right off of it here in pre-market? It looks pretty good. So that daily zone is between 128.40 to 129.10. I'm just going to start giving you those rounded up numbers that's easier. 128.40 to 129.10. And that's a nice little daily zone of support resistance, right? You ran up into it there on Thursday. You see, Thursday, we just had a hard time getting above it. Ran up into it, dropped, came up into it again. Thursday in post-market, dropped. Here, Friday pre-market, dropping on off. Friday, dropping on off. You can see there was a lot of resistance there. We were having a really hard time breaking above it. And yes, I forgot to switch the stream. My bad, guys. We're set now. Whoopsies. Josh, you made a boo-boo. Yeah, a lot of resistance there on Thursday, Friday. Get above it, and then you see it held as support pretty much all day Friday, and then we're holding it as support again here in pre-market. So not only are we in this gap, right, and potentially filling the gap to the upside, we're also above a pretty nice zone of support as well. So here's what I want to see with NVIDIA. If we can hold that 128.40 to 129.10 level today, I want to think about getting long up into this gap. Does that mean I'm going to take it long from that 128 level all the way up to this 142.50? No. Right? That's a pretty big ask. I'm asking for 14 points today. It's not going to happen. But are there going to be some nice areas that we could take profits here on NVIDIA? Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a nice little level to take some profit at, like 132. Right? Then up here, around like 135 would be another good area to take profit. So we can trim and we can scale out along this potential move higher. All right, so we can trim, scale out along the potential move higher. And then maybe this is a good day trade today that turns into a swing trade this week. And maybe NVIDIA by the end of the week could be filling that gap. So I would get in for a day trade today. Take some profit accordingly at some of these next targets. And then if I can get to like a risk-free position I would hold the rest of my position with like little to no risk and then hold it for a swing trade to see if we do fill that gap at 142.50 on NVIDIA. You got that? Give me a thumbs up if you got that, because I wasn't sharing my screen for the longest time. So if you got that, we're good. And we'll move on to the next one. Awesome. What's next on the list? Let's get it. What's next? So it was NVIDIA, and then someone said Tesla next. All right, Tesla was next on the list. Let's go look at Tesla. Tesla is coming into some demand here on Tesla, and we do have some overlap here on Tesla as well. So we do have some overlap. So if you go to a monthly time frame, you're on Tesla, your next lower level of like any kind of like demand, you know, you're probably looking like right in this region here, like in the 250s, right? Because you have this nice little push, but that was off this little demand zone. You had that little push, came down into it, hit it, pushed again, came back down into that previous block. You hit it, you pushed. There was your nice little rally-based rally. This one was not a continuation, so you're going to have some of this monthly demand down in like the 260s, right? But if you start going into like a weekly next, now you really start to paint a picture, right? And I'm just looking at these upper regions here. And so we can see that we had this nice impulsive move to the upside. We had this nice little sitting sideways consolidation before buyer stepped in again and pushed this up. And that was a big push from 350 all the way to like 470. That's a big move. Big move. So we can see that there is going to be some weekly demand on that November 25th candle. What are we going to do? We're going to mark up that November 25th candle like that. All right. Then what we're going to do is take this into a daily time frame and then look and see where did that move really start, right? So if we look, we have this nice little drop on off. There was a nice gap up, but then we set sideways for a good amount of time. Set sideways, tried the move a little bit, did not, came back down, almost filled this daily gap. There was a bit of this unfilled gap here, and we got kind of close to that unfilled gap. And then we saw this push. So we had this rally, a little bit of this base, and then that real big move to the upside. So that's going to be the region that I'm looking at right here, right? Because that was the break over those prior highs, and that's really where the move upward started. So at least I know where, you know, what area I want to be really dialing in any kind of like daily levels. And that's going to be, I'm going to take that big green one. I know we should probably take this little red one, right? And we did have a gap up push, but this was the one that broke. So I'm going to grab both of those. And that's just personal preference. Like I could just go grab, right, that little red candle low to body, right? But I'm personally going to go grab this December 4th candle, right? Because that's where we really start to see the push after that little base. We see the push, then the gap up, and then the really big move on up. And that at least gives you some overlap on the daily, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that weekly off. I'm just going to leave the daily here. Like I said, I'm really just using some discretion on how I want to mark that up. You could bring it down here like this if you wanted to, because that was the gap up first initial leg, and then that's the one that broke structure. So, I mean, if you want to go down and draw your zone up against that December 3rd candle, you can. But again, you could also apply some discretion. It's up to you guys. But we know where there's probably going to be some unfilled orders. That's what supply and demand is. If you see some big levels of supply and demand, you're just thinking there's going to be some unfilled orders left in those regions. But I still like to apply it with confluence. I'm not just going to trade solely off, you know, order blocks, supply, demand, or even just key zones, right? I need some confluence. So what else do we have here? Well, you could go ahead and mark up this unfilled gap on Tesla, right? You can mark up this unfilled gap. So if we go here and hit on that, we'll go ahead and plot this gap here on Tesla. So you can see from what, November 29th into December 2nd, there was that gap up. So now we can just go ahead and mark the unfilled gap here on Tesla as well. Again, that's going to be a gap level. Right, so you got a gap here between 345.50 to 348. Then we know we have some overlap, some weekly, daily demand overlap. I'm just going to focus on this little daily demand zone, that little block that was created on December 3rd. And we know that we have this gap just right below it. So you already have some confluence near that demand zone. And so if Tesla, for example, comes down into the gap today and wicks out of the gap, but we still close above some of that demand, I think that could be where we start to see a short-term reversal. And not even a reversal. I don't want to say short-term reversal, but I think we could see a push out of it. Most trader would say, don't trade long into this demand when you're going against the grain. But the way I look at it is, if you have multiple confluences, and you could really see it's a high probability trade, and you have good risk reward, right? And you can accept the loss ahead of time and manage your risk properly, right? I like trading bounces. I like trading reversals. It's personal preference. Some would say don't trade that against the grain because you're in this little bit of a downtrend. But again, apply some discretion, good risk reward, high probabilities. We could really start to map out a nice trade, right? And then it's not just that little demand area. We have that little gap, and I love trading gaps. Love trading gaps. So what we're looking for is maybe this to come down towards around 345.50 to 348 today. Tap that little gap level, wick out of it, push on up, then maybe see a short-term bounce to the upside, right? Looking for a quick, like maybe day trade if we get some nice follow through today. And this could turn into a short-term swing trade. Again, a short-term swing, not thinking months out, but maybe a few days to see a nice little multi-day bounce on up off some of that lower support, essentially, that we have down there. And so where would a target be on Tesla? Well, let's go mark up these highs right here. You can see that there's going to be a good deal of potential resistance at this level. Right, we tap it once, 2, 3, 4 times, gap up above it, hold it, and then rip on up. So there's going to be a nice little zone here on Tesla between 358.60 to 359.90. So that's 358.60 to 359.90 there on Tesla. And that's going to go find one more level to the upside. And so then we're going to go right up into this region here, where we see there was a lot of support, and then we flipped resistance Thursday, Friday of last week. That'll put you near 375. Right around 375. So keeping it super simple, what do we have? We have some weekly, daily demand, drilling that demand zone down into a daily time frame. We can even go to a 4-hour, 1 hour if we want. And then I noticed that little gap right below some of that demand between 345.50 to 348. I personally like trading gaps, and so I know where my head is. I know what I would want to see on Tesla. This is what I would want to see on Tesla. I don't want to see Tesla come down into that daily gap and see a gap fill bounce. So this is kind of how I would like to see Tesla play out. Come down, fill the gap, and get a gap fill bounce. I can get long at the bottom end of the gap, put stops below the bottom part of the gap, and set a target up at my next zone. So if we can like wick down into the gap and get that gap fill bounce and still see that daily candle, not like close below that demand zone, but maybe close green, wicking out of that demand zone to the upside, I would then look to hold that as a swing trade, like a short-term swing. So I would get in for like day trade mentality to day trade that gap and see if we can get some follow through. If so, that day trade would probably turn into a bit of a short-term swing trade, as I would expect maybe a few days of upside follow-through, at least back up to like that 359, 360 level. So not bad, right? We can maybe catch about $10 to $15 of upside on Tesla within a few days. But here's the deal. If I come into this with day trade mentality, which I will, and I come down, we hit the gap, and we bounce, obviously I'm going to be taking profit, because I'm coming into it with day trade mentality. I'm going to start trimming this, start taking some profit. If we don't see a strong close the day that happens, if that happens, and let's say we start to roll on back over and it looks like we're going to close weak that day, I'm not going to hold it for a swing trade. So it all comes down to, are we closing strong that day when we set up, if we set up? And if we're closing strong, I'll hold a little bit as a swing trade, right? But if we're not closing strong, I will exit the entire position because we could absolutely move a little bit lower to the downside here. All right. And so that's it. I mean, it's really simple stuff. We just now got to be patient and wait for Tesla to come down to us and see if it sets up. Could that happen today? I mean, it could happen today. But at least at some point this week, I think it's realistic that Tesla gets down into that 345 to 348 level. Fill that gap and see a nice gap fill bounce. And again, if we get that nice push that day and we get some follow through, I would want to hold that swing trade, you know, that day trade into a little bit of a swing trade, at least back up to like that 359 area. And if we really see some follow through, I think 375 would be another target to the upside there on Tesla. I think it looks good. So give me a thumbs up if you got that on Tesla. I know we talked a lot about Tesla, not just telling you what I think, but breaking it down and trying to educate you guys at the same time. Top-down analysis, looking at a monthly, weekly, daily, identifying confluences, getting an idea of where you would want to be a buyer or a seller, flipping that down into a lower time frame and building a hypothetical what-if plan. Like, what if Tesla were to do this? How would I get involved? How would I get positioned? What would my targets be? Is it a day trade only? Is it a swing trade only? Is it a day trade that could turn into a swing trade, right? I'm just really trying to paint that mental picture of if this were to happen on Tesla, right? What would I do? How would I get positioned? So now I'm prepared. I'm ready to rock and roll. Now what? I have to just be patient and wait for Tesla to come to that level and see if it sets up. That's it. So I know we talked a lot about it, but I want to make sure it makes sense. So do you have any questions on Tesla? Any questions on the analysis? Let me know, and I will answer them for you. So yeah, just give me a thumbs up if you're good, and if you have any questions, again, type them up and I'll answer those. So anytime I drop those value, I can't say the B word. I drop those golden nuggets, little gold nuggets. You got to get the likes up. It's got to get the likes up, man. How many trades a day do I take? It depends on how many opportunities and trades that I see in a day. So, for example, last Thursday, I didn't take a trade last Thursday because there wasn't any good opportunity, right? It sucked. I didn't have any day trades. I think last Tuesday, I don't think I traded last Tuesday either, right? There just wasn't a lot of good trades and good setups. Wednesday, I saw about 4 to 5 good setups. I took all 4 to 5 of those good setups. Every single one was a loser. Every single one was a loser. But small paper cuts on Wednesday. I think I was down like $600 on Wednesday, but I saw like 4 to 5 good trades, and I took them all. Friday, I only saw one good one. And so we got that trade, closed it out, and that made up my losses from Wednesday. I think we cleared $1,400 when that trade was all said and done, which ate up my losses from Wednesday. So yeah, I had like 4 to 5 small losers on Wednesday, just paper cuts on good trades, and then one winner wipes out 4 to 5 losers. So to go back to answer your question, it depends on how many good trades are there. Is my edge present? Is there good market conditions? Do my trades have good risk to reward? If I see what I want to see, and I'm following all of my steps, and I'm checking off all those boxes, and the trade is a good trade, I'm taking the trade, right? It could be 10 in a day. It could be 1. It could be 0. So it really depends on the opportunity. We just took a look at NVIDIA, brother. So if you want to go back and watch that recap, go to YouTube. Go to YouTube, links in my profile. I'm streaming right now on YouTube, and you can rewind that. So since we just spent about 10 minutes on NVIDIA, I do not want to spend another 10 when we have some other stocks to take a look at. So I go to YouTube. It's The Real Josh Howerton on YouTube. The link is in my profile on the Tickety Talk. You guys are good. So go back and rewind that because it's on demand. You can go back and rewatch that analysis. Do I trade meme coins? Nah, I don't trade meme coins, man. Big Ron, what's up, brother? What's up, Big Ron? Donald Hill was next. Donald, are you still over on YouTube? Give me a thumbs up. If you're still over there, I will look at the cues for you. Because you are next, good sir. So NVIDIA looks good. Tesla, maybe Tesla today. Tesla looks decent. We'll see if we get any action on Tesla. AMD kept hitting that little block. We're starting to push out of it, but it looks kind of beaten up the last couple of days. But it's trying to push. Apple. Is Apple coming down to our level yet? Nah, not yet. Trying. I'd love to see if Apple can get down to that 222 because that's a good swing trade level. If I had 100K, what would I invest in? That's a good question, man. Off the top of my head, I would want to get into real estate, number one. I wouldn't try and sink all of my eggs in one basket. I would probably take a good little chunk of that and get like a long-term account going. And then depending on my goals for retirement, my goals long-term would depend on how I would like, structure that long-term account out. Like, would I want to go like risky? Because I have time to make that back up if I lose the money. Like, can I take on some risk? If so, I would really start to get some investments going specifically around companies that are investing a lot of money into AI, R&D. That could be looked at as a riskier long-term play, but if you're young enough, you can afford to take some extra risk. So I would probably get like a long-term account going around some like riskier, maybe like AI plays. And AI investments. That could even be just, straight up, buying shares of companies that are investing a lot into AI R&D. Probably take a little bit into a more conservative long-term account. I mean, there's still always going to be risk, but less risk, less reward, a little bit more conservative, moderate growth, 7 to 10% a year type stuff. Probably just get like a Roth IRA going and invest it into maybe an ETF. To keep it easy, and then maybe buy some, good quality large cap companies like, maybe Tesla, NVIDIA, whatever the case is. So I would probably, start with a couple different accounts long term, a little bit riskier, a little bit more, moderate risk, moderate return, get some long term accounts going there. Depending on where crypto is, I wouldn't get into crypto right now. I think we're going to go into a short term pullback mode with crypto. I couldn't really justify getting into crypto right now. And then with some of that cash too, I would most likely start looking to get some real estate property for some passive income, some cash flow on some real estate. But I wouldn't take like 100 grand and just sink it into an account for trading and like just invest it into the stock market. I would want to diversify a little bit, maybe start building a little bit of a real estate portfolio as well. But that's going to be, it could be tough right now with rates being that high. But you can get creative with it, see what you can do. Maybe look into like Section 8, guaranteed income from the U.S. government through Section 8 housing, and start getting a real estate portfolio built around that. That's just, again, off the top of my head, but I would want to sit down and really see, like, was there any startups? Maybe there's good startups that I could invest in. Maybe I want to be an angel investor, invest in, startup companies, whatever that looks like. There's so many different ways to get your money working for you. Just depends on what your goals are and what kind of risk you want to take. Am I able to do Google? Yeah, man. Let's go look at Goog. Was that an earnings gap? That wasn't. That was a dividend payout. And then we had that massive gap up. So it's not like we quite came down to that level, but we got kind of close. We can see there's like a nice little support resistance level on GOOG down around this like 182.70 to 184. And you can see that we ran up into it, we broke it, held it, got below it, held below it. Then we had earnings, dumped on off. So there was some, supply up there, but it was created through earnings. So that's one of those tread lightly areas. But we still came up into it, fell out of it, came up to it again, fell out of it. Then we actually saw that zone flip. We held it as support, and then we did, push to the upside pretty nicely on Goog. Didn't quite come down to it here on Friday, but got close to it. But that was a pretty decent little zone of support on GOOG down around, again, like 182.70 to 184. But we only got down to like 185 on Friday. So not quite to it. There is going to be a nice tight zone of potential resistance for today. And this is an area that we may be coming into today. And this could be an area where we look to get short on GOOG. We probably want to open that zone up quite a bit. Let's make sure it's as dialed as possible. It's going to be a little bit of a larger area of resistance, but it is what it is. So there's going to be this zone of overhead resistance between 189.30 to 189.95. And just look left. You got above it. You held it. Nice push. Got below it. Sat below it as a resistance for 2 days. Nice, big, significant drop to the downside. And then look at how we held it here for a couple of months. Every time we came down to that level, big bounce. Come down to that level, big bounce. Come down to that level, even bigger of a bounce. And we see last Wednesday, that was where we hit low a day last Wednesday. And then what did we see on Friday? We fell below that zone on Friday. Anytime you fall below a zone of support, we could see it do what? Flip into resistance. And if we see that zone, respected as resistance, we could see another leg down. And that leg down could put us at that 182.70 to 184 zone. And that's a really solid zone of daily support that we could see a nice bounce off of. So I got my two best levels identified here on GOOG. I got really good lower support. I got some really nice top resistance. And what do I see on the daily? I see that again, that we cracked below it, fell below it there on Friday. If we come up for a retest today or sometime this week and we stay below that zone and we start to roll and kind of curl, we could see another leg down here on GOOG. So now I want to flip this into a 5-minute time frame and see where we're at on a 5-minute. We're actually coming up into that zone here in pre-market. So here's the game plan on GOOG for today. If we stay below this 189.30 to 189.95 zone and we fail to break it today, I would entertain a short on Goog off that level and expect maybe a little bit of downside today. Here's the last thing I want to do is see if we have any confluence. Are there any other multiple reasons to get involved and to take this trade? I'm going to take a fib extension from Friday's high a day down to Friday's low a day and then drag it back up into Friday's high a day, right? I'm going to run that extension, okay? What do I notice about that fib extension? I notice that the fib extension's golden pocket is right at that zone. You guys see that? Right? Between the 50% level and the 38.2 level on a fib extension, that's called a golden pocket. So what do you notice about that fib's golden pocket? it overlaps that daily zone of resistance. That's called a confluence. That's a multiple separate reason to take a trade. That's another reason to take it. Not just a nice, strong level of daily resistance that we could fall off of, but now we have some confluence utilizing that fib. So that makes me feel more confident that if we come up into that zone and we also fall out of that fib's golden pocket, that can make for a very nice short to the downside today. And we could see a nice drop on off back into that pre-market low would be a good first target. So here's a plan on Goog. And I like it enough to build a plan. Short, wherever the short be, ideally at that daily zone inside of that fibs golden pocket. So entries right around like 189.60, 189.70 would be like a good entry to the short side. I would put stops above 190, right? Put stops above 190. And then my first target would have to be that pre-market low, right? It'd have to be that pre-market low. That's my first target. So what does my trade plan look like on GOOG, right? It's a 5-to-1 risk reward. And I like where the stops would be. That'd be a very nice realistic area to put stops, right? Put it above 190. It's above the zone. It's above psychological resistance at 190. It's above the 38.2 fib extension. So you're putting it above 3 nice levels of resistance. We have a dialed in entry point where we already have confluence established. So that's a dialed in entry point right around this 189.60 to 189.70. And if we look left and we say, hey, where's a really good realistic target? A good realistic target would be that pre-market low down around 187. So if you just do your risk reward analysis, you see that's a 5-to-1 risk reward. So let's say that you took this trade and you were willing to risk $200. You're willing to risk $200 to see if it works. How much could you potentially make on that trade if it actually plays out and hits your main target? $1,000. So you can lose 200 as an example to make 1,000. Now you still have to go in and assess your risk. What's your risk parameter? Do you even have risk parameters established on your account? If not, you should probably do that first. But this is a example plan. Like let's say that you could risk $200 on the trade, which I could, right? I could afford to lose $200 on a trade. That's well within my risk parameters. And if I hit my main target down here, I've got potential to make $1,000. Is this trade worth it? Is it worth it, me losing 200 to make 1,000? It comes down to how confident am I that this trade is going to work in my favor. And the more confident I am, the more inclined I am to say, yeah, I'm cool with losing $200. And what makes me confident? When I see high probability reasons to take a trade, right? Is this a high probability trade? Yes. Why? Because you have multiple confluence. So I'm already confident that this is a great trade that could play out to the short side. So I'm inclined to say, yes, I'm willing to lose $200 to see if I can make $1,000 on this really good looking setup to the short side. So yeah, man, I mean, good eye on Goog. I like it. I think there's good opportunity. I'm personally going to throw it to the top of my watch list today. And so this is something that I will trade if it sets up. Like I will trade this short if it sets up today. I like it. I think it looks good. All right, Big Ron's here. Or no. It was Donald. Donald, you're here for the Qs? Let's do the Qs, Ben. Yes, if you whoever asked about Goog, if you're good on Goog, Goog, just give me a thumbs up. Make sure that you're good on that. And then I get those likes up too, guys. I don't ask for a lot. The only thing I ask is I'm here supporting you guys. So support me, share the stream. It means a lot. And yeah, like it too. Likes go a long way, guys. I appreciate it. Q for Mr. Donald Hill. All right, bro. Let's dive into it. Qs. So here's something that I notice about the Qs that look really good. So if you take a fib retracement tool from Monday's low day last week, So that little swing low up to the swing high, which was Friday's high a day. So just go ahead and take that fib from swing low to swing high. You see what we did in pre-market? Or I'm sorry, post-market. So what did we do in post-market? We came down. We hit that 50% fib level to the penny in post-market on Friday. Literally, we hit it to the penny. We bounced. We had a massive gap up this morning. So what did we see? We saw a nice 50% retracement, right, into a nice zone of support as well. And now we're seeing a nice push off that level. So yeah, we had that low on Monday, Friday's high a day, and then post-market Friday, we hit the 50, we bounce off of it. So we respected the 50% level, and we're starting to see a move off of that. Right now, we are getting a push, it looks like back above this zone of support resistance on the daily. So we got a zone here on the Qs between 525.99 to 526.48. We're getting a push back up above that zone in pre-market. Do you see that that zone had been respected in pre-market? Yeah. You ran up into it. You saw a little bit of a drop on off. So you see that there were some sellers stepping in at that point in time. Price started to fall. Then what happened? Buyers pushed it through that level. We see it come back down for a retest. Buyers start to step back in, and now we're starting to see the next leg on up. That looks pretty strong. I like it. So my main level for today, my main level on the Qs is going to be this 525.99 to 526.48 level. That's my make or break, right? So if the Qs hold that level as support today, I think we could start to get a push on back up. Where to? Well, my next daily zone of resistance, which is going to be up here around 531.26 to 532.11. All right. But if we see the Qs come back down below that zone and we sit back below it as resistance and we put in a lower high off that level, then I would look to get short down to my next zone of support. Where's that going to be at? That's going to be down here around 521.23 to 521.78. They're on the Qs. So again, line in the sand, your LITS, LITS for today on QQQ is that 525.99 to 526.48. That's your make or break. Hold it as support, we get long. Get below it, stay below it, we get short, because that's a pretty key significant level here on the Qs. And you even see that it was respected beautifully on Friday, right? We came down into it, nice bounce. We get below it, stay below it, drop, come back up and retest it again. Nice big drop. So we even see that zone was respected really nice there on Friday session. So that's going to be the Qs, man. Comes down to that one key zone. That's our LITS. Again, hold above it, you get long. Get below it, stay below it, you get short today. All right, you good on that? The QQQs? Yeah, Donald. Absolutely, man. Yeah, Qs look pretty good. SPY looks decent, too. SPY looks decent. I like it. All right, what's next? We got time for one more, ladies and gentlemen. What do we look at today so far? The Qs? You guys are all set on the Qs? Solid game plan there. We guys got you a nice little plan on Goog. G-O-O-G. That looks sexy. I mean, sexy. Looks good. I'm going to trade that today if it sets up. NVIDIA looks really good today as well. So that's on watch. Tesla is on watch as well today. I think that one looks very nice. And then we still got Apple as a swing trade coming up. We still got Apple as a swing trade, but that's got to get down to like 222 on Apple. If Apple gets down to like 222, I think there could be a good long to play some calls off that 222 mark. They're on Apple, but the way I see it is we would have to get there today or tomorrow. We'd have to get there to like today or tomorrow, which at this pace, it doesn't look like it's going to happen unless the market tanks tomorrow with like Jay Powell speaking and his testimony. If like the market pulls back hard, it's possible that Apple gets there. But right now, seeing the overall market moving on back up a little bit, I don't know if Apple's going to get there. I don't know if Apple's going to get there. We'll see. Yeah, today looks like a pretty solid day, man. We got some really good looking stocks. Goog, Nvidia, Tesla. The spot in the Qs look pretty good as well. I like it. Why is my freaking trading broker not on my computer anymore? Yeah, that's wild. It's like my system automatically removed my broker from my computer. That is freaking really odd. Huh. No, it's here. Oh, it's Trader Workstation. That's what they call it. Trader Workstation. I was typing in interactive like a dip. You missed the Goog play. Go over to YouTube. My YouTube channel. I am streaming live right now on YouTube. So if you guys want to rewind and go back and re-listen to what I just said, the stream is still on YouTube right now. So go back, rewind it to the part where we're talking about Goog. Take notes, follow along, do the analysis on the chart, and you guys are set. All right. What kind of questions we got, guys? I mean, good stuff. Am I Christian? Yes. I say yes like that because I don't really say like I'm Christian, Catholic. I don't really like apply religion to my faith and my knowing of God and my relationship with God. Like I know God. I have a relationship with God. I've accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. But do I talk religion? Nah, it's kind of like religion. It's kind of like politics, man. Right? You start talking about religion, there's a lot of I don't know. It's just there's a lot of friction around it sometimes. Just like politics with some people, there's a lot of friction. So when people talk about religion, I don't talk about religion. I just talk about my relationship with God. I talk about my faith. How am I feeling about the market? Trey, what's up, man? I feel okay about the market. I think there's some good stocks setting up today, dude. Goog, Goog looks solid. Nvidia looks pretty decent to the upside. Looking to play some calls today. And then Tesla right now kind of looks good to the short side on Tesla. So if Tesla holds below like 359 to 360, I'm looking to play it short down to like 350. I got time for maybe one more, and then I got to bounce because I have my Zoom session with our trading students today. So I got time for one more. AMZN. That was the next one that I saw. Let's go take a look at Amazon. And so Amazon came down to a really nice level here on Friday and bounced. We had a nice little 128.50 to 129.12 zone. You see we hit it several times as resistance, support, resistance, resistance, support. Came down to it, had a nice little bounce there on Friday. So that's going to be a level that you want to focus on today. Here on Amazon. See if we can stay above it. Where you at? You're right at it. So, I mean, if Amazon can continue to hold that daily zone, you can get a nice bounce off that zone today. Probably back up to Friday's high a day. No, I take that back. There's going to be another level well before you get up into Friday's high a day. Your next area is going to most likely be this 232.50, the 233 zone. So, yeah, 232.50 to 233 is going to be your next zone of top resistance. So here's how I would look to play Amazon. If Amazon can come back down into that 229 zone and hold it, I would look to get long up to like 232.50 on Amazon, because that's a nice little daily zone. Tap, tap, right? Tap, 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 tap. I mean, we hit that level several times, and we've seen some nice big moves off that zone several times. In your next area of resistance, again, you've hit it several times. Little tap, 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 nice big drop. And then you just sit here and grind it as support for like 2 weeks. So this is, at first glance, it looks decent at first glance. Entries would be around like 228.80. You could throw stops under Friday's low a day at 228. You got about 80 cents of potential risk. But your target would be up around that 232.80 mark. Right, so that's kind of what a plan would look like, getting long off of that really nice daily zone of support, putting stops below Friday's low a day, so you're really giving it some breathing room. And then you have a realistic target back up into your next daily zone of resistance. What's your trade plan? It's a 5-to-1 risk reward. So, I mean, yeah, it looks decent. I'm not opposed to it. I would put my name behind that. I love February, man. We were talking last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like how February was going to be a really crappy month. Now we're starting to see a lot of stocks looking pretty darn good. So I'm excited. I think February is going to be really good. I think this week is going to be a really good week in the market. I mean, there's so many good-looking stocks sitting at some really nice key areas. I think we're going to have a really good week this week. I'm not trading any Bitcoin-related stocks or crypto-related stocks like Riot, Mara, Hive, BITF, BITO, the Bitcoin ETFs. I'm personally not looking to get involved with any crypto-related stocks right now, simply because I believe we can start to see maybe a little bit of downside with crypto. I mean, just from a technical perspective, it looks like we could see some downside and start to see a bigger pullback. And if that's the case, without any kind of catalyst with like Mara or Riot, we're just not going to see it move. Most of the time, these are going to move in sympathy to Bitcoin, right? Unless it has its own independent catalyst like earnings or a hot press release. Most of the time, it's going to correlate and move with crypto, move with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin starts to pull back, and that's what the analysis looks like, and that's what it's telling me. I wouldn't want to get long right now on Riot or Mara, even if the setup looked good, because I feel like it could be dragged and pulled down with crypto, Bitcoin, especially if we do see some downside with Bitcoin. But that's all I got for you guys today. All right, so stay blessed, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be smart. Trade safe. If you guys haven't joined the free community, make sure you guys do that. Right, the link is in my profile here on TikTok. So if you leave the stream and go to my profile page, you'll see a link that says join my free community. You guys can join, get some free education, get some support, all that good stuff. All right. But I'm bouncing. I'm heading out, guys. So stay blessed. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you back here Wednesday morning on TikTok and YouTube as well. Peace out, guys. And I'll see you then. Take care.